Hi, Kriegspielers. This is Paul LaFontaine, also known in the IKS community as LaFondios. Welcome to the first day of the Grand Gettysburg II, a sprawling battle where 40 players and a dozen umpires recreate the battle for Gettysburg. I was joined by Sean Barnett and Jan Heineman as commentators. Let me orient you to the map. Our graphic design expert Damon created this excellent map of Gettysburg. You can see the famous historical terrain features. From top to bottom, you see the roads in yellow and Gettysburg in the upper center. Seminary Ridge is to the west, and Cemetery Hill is just south of town. Little Round Top is in the far south of the map. Take notice in the east of the wooded Wolf's Hill. We'll see a lot of action there today. The situation was historical, except our umpire led a pre-game operational set of maneuvers that changed the entry and presence of different Union and Confederate forces at the battle. Umpire Lake Zarina led this process, and we'll listen to his explanation of that now.
The really big thing was what you mentioned already, that Stuart was in Gettysburg. The reason why was following the basically the logic of what if Stuart did not go on his ride around the Union Army, and because through the entirety of the Pennsylvania campaign of '63, Lee did not have what he called his eyes. He was completely blind. So if that were not the case, well, you'd want eyes. So where would you put your eyes? Well, you want them facing south so that your command, which is all over southern Pennsylvania, to make sure that they are not attacked. So you put them in Gettysburg, which is where the armies were. Well, where the Union was coming up to, I should say. And so I started the game at morning of June 30th, essentially 24 hours before the battle, and essentially in the historical situation, except for, well, Stuart and Gettysburg, and then left it up to player interpretation as to when certain commanders, like what they would do with that time.
Here is a map showing what occurred historically. The Union 1st Cavalry under Buford encountered Heath's division in A.P. Hill's 3rd Corps. Both sides rushed units forward until the Confederates had Hill's 3rd Corps and Ewell's 2nd Corps pushing the Union 1st under Reynolds and 3rd under Howard back through Gettysburg, where Hancock and the 2nd had just come up. Historically, the first day ended with the Union forces south of Gettysburg. Our scenario started differently than the historic. The Union 11th, 3rd, and 12th Corps were first to the field, while the 3rd Cavalry under Kilpatrick and the 2nd Cavalry under Gregg entered from the east. The 2nd and 3rd Confederate Corps entered, but with no cavalry to slow them down, the 3rd made it south of Gettysburg unopposed. Confederate cavalry leader Stuart has moved south to screen. Ewell enters later from the northeast. By 0900, Union cavalry is skirmishing with Hill's Confederate Corps, while Stuart in the south considerably slows the advance of the Union 3rd Corps and the 1st, which has now entered the field. Union cavalry under Kilpatrick in the north are tracking Ewell's movement. Let's listen to a conference between Lee, Ewell, and Hill.
Excellent. Well, as long as you have something going towards Wolf Hill to occupy that high ground and begin digging in, I think that's acceptable. And then you can decide how you want to deal with the cavalry as they observe us. Though I imagine that as soon as you start trying to push them off, they'll run away.
I'm going to have early sort them out. You should be able to handle it. Johnston and Rhodes will be moving on the hill, and I'm going to be moving to make sure that they achieve that objective as quickly as possible next turn.
Light pressure. They've got infantry forming up, so they'll probably start attacking in the next 40 minutes, probably not the next 20.
Now let's listen to the Union commander, General Meade's take on the situation.
Now we don't know where 2nd Corps is. There's a bunch of people being engaged and no situation reports coming in. So I'm just working off very minimal information. But that was the plan, is to take the key terrain on day 1, not necessarily do an all-out assault. But now I don't know if that's viable. and I'm just trying to understand what's actually going on.
At 10:20, Longstreet has entered with the Confederate First Corps in the northwest. Stuart continues to delay the Union 1st and 3rd, and the Confederate Third Corps under Hill is attacked by the 12th Union Corps. The Union cavalry seizes the opportunity to delay Ewell. Let's listen to Kilpatrick's perspective.
My commander told me to split my force in two and to guard both roads. But I have found a good target, I would say, so I will ignore this order for now and do this.
At 11:20, the Union 11th has moved into position in the west. The 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 12th close in on A.P. Hill's position. Part of Ewell's force has reached Wolf's Hill in the east, but a division is left behind to deal with the Union cavalry, slowing down Ewell's deployment. Stuart continued to delay the deployment of the Union force. Longstreet has a decision to make. Does he send Pickett southwest where you see the red triangle? Let's listen to his thought process.
I figured that it was going to be a fight when I came in. I didn't think it was going to be quiet in the least. Honestly, I expected more troops to be on the field before I got here. But my original orders, which actually look like it's going to be what it is take out 11th Corps.
At 12:40, Stuart and his cavalry have been pushed back by the Union forces, and a rough line of defense and attack forms from west to east. Longstreet and Hood head to the center along Seminary Ridge. Let's listen to Lee and Rhodes, a divisional commander, confer about the defense around Wolf's Hill in the east, where you see the Confederate Second Corps.
Yeah, this is not great. I think if worse comes to worse, I think I agree with your initial assessment. Is we'll just send some brigades over to across the river to Hill from this side, and use them to reinforce the defensive line, not assault.
Honestly,
it's
it
late,
might,
guys.
it might be a good idea because honestly, I'm starting to get pretty overstretched. If we just wanted to pull back, I could hold Hill 444 and 420 sort of alone, and then you could have Johnston pull back and try to hook around out.
That sounds like a great idea. That sounds like a fantastic idea, Rhodes. Let's try and do that. Let's do that. Next turn, let's maneuver a division into Hill's line from behind, and then we'll get Rhodes. You'll anchor that 444 420 sector.
Okay.
At 1400, Longstreet has sent Pickett to deal with the 11th Union Corps while having Hood conduct a separate attack along Seminary Ridge. This attack bloodies Hood's units. Kilpatrick's cavalry in the east is driven off, and Ewell's corps finally can consolidate in the east. The Union 12th and Confederate forces on Wolf Hill clash. At 1540, Reynolds and the Union 1st lead an all-out attack on the Confederate line under A.P. Hill. This causes many casualties, and losses on both sides are heavy. Pickett has gone far west to chase down enemy units and drives back elements of the Union Third Corps. The Union attack exhausts itself, as heavy losses throughout the day have spent many units. There are some Union units in reserve, and most of the Confederate units have engaged heavily. The day ends with both sides consolidating in the positions you see here. A new player has taken over the role of Meade, who we have begun calling Meade II. Let's hear his thoughts, then Lee's, on the day's events.
And then once they're in position, I think I've heard some news of a Confederate attack on the right flank across Rock Creek. I'm not sure. The dispatch I got seemed pretty panicked. I'm not sure how much of that is. I know we've got a lot of new players on our team, so I don't know how much of that is just that's a new player panic, and how much is genuine, or not genuine, but you know what I mean. Warranted. So I'm moving over there. We've got Second Division, or Second Corps rather, has probably a division, maybe two divisions we can commit to our right, and 12th is also could probably spare a division or at least a couple of brigades to reinforce that, and it's a pretty good position. So I'm not too worried about that attack on the right. This is going to get quoted at me when I find out I go over there and they've rolled up the whole army or something. But yeah, hopefully, I don't think it's too bad at the moment. So I'm gonna go check them out, see what's up with 12th Corps. And yeah, I'm not sure if we'll end up launching any sort of advance today. I want to have a strong defensive position with more than like one line deep, across the whole area.
I would say that every single one of my corps commanders is pissed and just exasperated with the situation, and I do think that we are facing some pretty tough circumstances. I'm not entirely sure what's going on our left with Yule, but I think he's being slightly pushed back. Obviously, our center appears to be breaking, unless we can plug it with whatever we have left. And the right seems to be doing okay-ish, but I think that the Union has bloodied us, and they have definitely dealt more casualties to us today than we have dealt to them.
Here we see the final positions for day one compared with the positions held by the two sides historically. Our players have maneuvered into a line anchored on Cemetery Hill south of Gettysburg, and in a reversal from the historical, the Confederates hold the high ground, and the Union needs to attack in the morning to dislodge them. Thanks for watching this report on the first day of Grand Gettysburg II, the Kriegspiel. We hope you enjoyed it. This is Paul LaFontaine encouraging you to join us for the second day of this epic online battle in our next video. We'll see you there.